So Rose McGowan has put Oprah on blast. He seemingly suggested in the caption that Oprah knew the Hollywood producer was mistreating women. He took hold of me and stood me in front of the mirror and he's like touching me, rubbing me, and he's like, just relax. And if we make this just about Harvey Weinstein, then we will have lost this moment. Singing and music. I was, needless to say, devastated and really shaken to my core when I first heard this news. And I spoke to all the girls personally and I encouraged all of them, clears throat. Any of them who had actually been harmed to please come forward. Right now, many online discussions suggest that Oprah Winfrey is facing intense public scrutiny. She has previously acknowledged knowing figures like Epstein and Diddy, but has always said she was unaware of any alleged wrongdoing or private after-party culture connected to them. In the past, a lot of people accepted that explanation. Yet, recent headlines have made audiences revisit old connections more closely. Several celebrities who were once linked to her publicly have also shared criticism, adding more pressure to an already complicated narrative. Even before the current debates, Oprah had faced controversy surrounding other issues, including discussions about the Leadership Academy she opened in South Africa back in 2007. At that time, a dorm matron named Virginia Tiny Makopo was charged with multiple counts related to student mistreatment. Oprah personally traveled to South Africa, apologized publicly, and made changes to the school's leadership. Though some critics later argued the response was more about protecting her public image than addressing deeper concerns. For Winfrey has had a lot of controversy around her African school for girls, with huge conspiracy theories starting that these girls were going missing from Oprah's school. All of these theories started shortly after Oprah opened her school in 2007, and the matron of that school was charged with essay of 7 different girls. Oprah ended up offering a public apology to the parents and the children and citing her own essay incidents in this apology. But the matron would then be found not guilty of these crimes. But then it shocked the nation because shortly after this, Oprah's school was hit with another essay allegation. 7 students were suspended for harassing and fondling classmates. And a lot of people thought that this stemmed from the very first incident because why would these children be acting like this? And the rumors started swirling after this point because they just didn't understand how these things could happen so close to one another. And then boom, there was another investigation at Oprah's school after the body of a newborn was found in a girl's book bag. But according to some critics, that wasn't the full story. They believe she was quietly influencing how certain artists were viewed in the industry. And one name that often comes up is 50 Cent. Back when he was still climbing to the top, 50 was trying hard to reshape his image beyond the gangster rapper label. At that time, appearing on the Oprah Winfrey Show was seen as a major step toward mainstream acceptance. However, when the idea of bringing him on reportedly reached Oprah's desk, it was turned down. The interview eventually happened later on, but 50 made it clear he never fully moved past it. He publicly criticized her, claiming she catered more to a white audience and even compared her to an Oreo, black on the outside but white within. He also said her viewers weren't his target audience, and that she didn't support the themes in his music, adding that he never expected to be welcomed on her platform anyway. For 50, the tension became part of the narrative, and he leaned into the rivalry rather than trying to fix it. That long-standing feud is often pointed to as the moment more artists began speaking openly about their own experiences, with several people later sharing stories about how they felt treated or overlooked. I had to revisit that cause it was like it didn't make sense to me. Babe, I'm like, what did she do? She said something you didn't like. Like, so she didn't work for 13 years after that, right? But the fact that Oprah didn't get a Golden Globe nomination is shocking. Hey, what do you think of Oprah for president? I love that you do. Yes. Yeah. Were you skeptical as I am right now? Cause this sounds crazy. I know. Ludacris went off on her too for attempting to use him as a scapegoat when he came on her program to promote his new movie Crash. So she had made about, I was there for a crash for the movie. Yeah. And basically she said something about not agreeing with my music, but she thought I did great in the movie. And of course I was up there with the whole cast of Crash. And clears throat. So I didn't necessarily felt like that needed to be said. You didn't agree with my music. And even if you don't agree with certain songs I made, say you don't agree with certain songs, don't say you just don't agree with all of my views. She was able to say what she said, and then I had my rebuttal, and when I saw the final show, her comments were in there. Was in there, but yours weren't in there and mine weren't in there. So it just looked like I kind of took it. Clears throat wow. Like was just quiet and didn't ma'am. According to Monique, she was paid only $50,000 for the film, and says she never signed any agreement requiring her to do unpaid press runs. However, after the movie was released, she claimed Tyler Perry and Oprah expected her to travel worldwide for promotion, even suggesting she cover the costs herself. During that time, 50 Cent publicly supported her, saying he understood what it felt like to be shut out by Oprah. He shared a photo of Monique on Instagram and encouraged fans to help bring her back to the top, praising her stand-up performance and urging people to support her work. Later, he posted again calling for Tyler Perry and Oprah to apologize, saying the situation had gone on long enough, and that he wanted to help revive her career rather than see it continue to suffer. Room. So Tyler Perry says to me, "Listen, you may really want to consider promoting this film because if you get nominated for an Oscar award, your next film is $3 to $5 million. And if you win it, your next film is $6 to $8 million. I said, "Tylo, who you talking to? I'm a black woman. Where do they pay those type of salaries, brother?" I said, "What I cannot do, Tyler, is work for free. I've done what I was supposed to do. I cannot go overseas and do this for free, Tyler." So, then he goes on about his spill, you know. I said, "Well, listen, you can write me the check for me to go overseas. I don't care where the money comes from, but I'm not going to do it for free." He says, "Well, I don't believe in giving money away for free." I said, "I don't believe in working for free. So we on the same page. Once upon a time you didn't like, oh, right? You're looking at it and you're saying that everything that's wrong with our culture is why I'm a success." Wow. So when I actually got a chance to talk to her, she was like, "I never thought about it like that." And as if that wasn't bad enough, Oprah took things a step further by inviting Monique's brother, whom Monique had previously accused of assaulting her when she was 11 years old, as well as her entire family, whom Monique had also said she isn't on speaking terms with because they initially sided with her brother when she told them about the assault. To first acknowledge what music I've been in denial for 37 years, and that is I did music assault and inappropriately touch my sister in manners that were not comfortable for her, and for that I apologize. Now there's two parts to Oprah Winfrey that I haven't really spoken about publicly. The other part with Oprah Winfrey is, yeah, you let me get thrown under the bus and you said nothing. The other part is you mess with my family. You mess with my mother, my father. She called me about my brother. Music, right? And I said, "Listen, everybody can change." He wanted to apologize. She said, "Monique, would it be okay that he comes on and would you like to come on?" I said, "I don't want nothing to do with that cat, but I don't want to get in the way of his blessing. If he's changing, I don't want to stop that." She never said my mother. She never said my father. Now, I know who my parents were because they're both gone. I know who they are. I know my mother's greed. I know my father's greed. And you did not say that you were going to have my parents because had you said you had my mother. Now, we had a conversation and I said to her, "Me and my mother are not in a good place." Now, she said some things to me about her mother and father, which I'll never repeat. It all started when Dave appeared on Oprah's show after turning down a reported $50 million deal with Comedy Central. The situation between him and the network had become so intense that he left for South Africa to step away from the spotlight. During the interview, as he tried to explain his side of the story, viewers felt Oprah frequently interrupted him and pushed him to address claims he believed were unfair. Increasingly paranoid. Would you say you were paranoid? Sure. First of all, what is a black man without his paranoia hat? You might win $100 in a poker game and be on the subway. You can look over your shoulder. They just said in everything I had $50 million. That's like making me a marked man. So, did you go to a psychiatric hospital in South Africa? Yeah. Who? I'm insane. They were trying to get me to take psychotic medication. Yeah. I said, "I'm not taking this medicine, man, because I know these people be trying to control you or maybe discredit you. I was afraid like you know, but you were stressed out, that's why there's no question, but it's very stressful for someone to constantly walk behind you and say you're insane." Taraji's situation didn't stop there. She also had a tense moment connected to Oprah, and many viewers compared it to what Monique went through back in 2023. While promoting The Color Purple, Taraji spoke openly about feeling underpaid in the industry. Not long after, she appeared in another interview with Oprah's longtime friend, Gayle King, where she admitted she had even thought about stepping away from acting. During the conversation, Taraji became very emotional, and some viewers felt the tone of the interview didn't fully support how vulnerable she was at that moment. The clip quickly sparked debate online, with people discussing whether her feelings were truly being heard or brushed aside. Says here, Oprah threatens Cat Williams for exposing her for being a Hollywood handler. I've been excluded. I've been excluded on Oprah. You know, on Oprah? On Oprah. Yeah, I've been excluded. Or Embra. Well, Oprah has definitely no. That Embra Morgan Freeman has stirred major debate after speaking out about Oprah and the influence of her platform during the time of the Iraq War. He suggested that the support shown on major talk shows, including Oprah's, may have helped shape public opinion during George W. Bush's invasion of Iraq. As these comments circulate online, some viewers say it's changing how they see her public image, while others argue that media figures often reflected the mood of the era rather than directing it. Even Oprah got in on the act, featuring in October 2002, New York Times reporter Judith Miller. The U.S. intelligence community believes that Saddam Hussein has deadly stocks of anthrax of botulinum toxin, which is one of the most virulent poisons known to man. Liberal Hulk Kenneth Pollock, and what we know for a fact from a number of defectors who've come out of Iraq over the years, is that Saddam Hussein is absolutely determined to acquire nuclear weapons and is building them as fast as he can. Is that my kill? And the right-hand man to Akhund Celeb. And so, do the Iraqi people want the American people to liberate them? Absolutely. In 1991, Iraqi people, I hope that doesn't offend you. When one guest dared to express doubt, Oprah would have none of it happened. I just don't know what to believe with the media. We're not trying to propaganda show you propaganda. We're just showing you what is. I understand that. Okay, you have a right to your opinion. One of the most controversial topics being discussed right now involves claims circulating online about Oprah's past projects, including the school she founded in South Africa. Some critics have questioned how incidents at the school were handled, while supporters argue she responded quickly once problems were reported. To this day, people remain divided, debating whether it was simply a tragic situation or something more complicated. At the same time, her name appearing in publicly released Epstein-related documents has fueled even more speculation across social media. It's important to note that being mentioned in records does not prove wrongdoing, but the internet continues to connect dots and ask questions. Now, discussions online are growing louder, with some voices pushing extreme theories, while others warn that many of these claims remain unverified and should be viewed cautiously. Africa has seen a huge spike in child kidnapping and murder in the last few months. Civil organizations are worried that the country is losing its fight against the menace. Our reporter Ken Engmu has filed the story. Music. Over the past few months, several posters like these have been circulating on social media, with pleas to help find these missing children who have been allegedly kidnapped. Communities and civil society organizations believe that the issue of kidnapping is getting out of hand. According to the South African Police Service Missing Persons Bureau, a child goes missing every 5 hours in South Africa. A non-profit group, Missing Children South Africa, says the country is losing the fight against the rising number of child kidnappings. Unfortunately, South Africa has seen an alarming increase in the number of kidnappings being reported in our country in the last year. We're currently dealing with over 1,000 kidnappings being reported monthly in South Africa. We've got different types of kidnappings that we are dealing with. We've got opportunistic kidnappings, family and parental abductions, ransom demands, robberies, hijackings, kidnappings for traditional medicine purposes, and then also human trafficking that is happening. South Africa has also been declared as a human trafficking hub by the U.S. Department of State at the end of 2021. According to a UNICEF South Africa 2021 report, between October and December 2021, 352 children were killed, 394 survived attempted murder, and 2,408 were victims of physical assault. In 2022, statistics between April and June, 243 children were killed. It's claimed that he was about to expose everyone involved in the scheme before he was found dead in his cell. The death was officially ruled a suicide, but his own brother believes that may not be the full truth. When I first heard that my brother was dead, I actually heard it on CNN. The government did not notify me as they've claimed. I thought, okay, he killed himself. At the time, I had no reason to doubt it, and I just figured that was his decision and I respected it. had grieved the loss of a brother, but it was his decision. But then after the autopsy was done and all the other information started coming out, it became apparent that it was not a suicide. When you looked at the autopsy results, the photographs we have of the body, the details of the mark on his neck, compared to the way they said he was hanging, it nothing matches up. If you looked at all of these facts and evidence, you would not come up with the conclusion that it was a suicide, other than the fact that Bill Barr made that ridiculous statement about it being a suicide, and the chief medical examiner, Barbara Sampson, overrode the actual pathology autopsy and declared it a suicide. But let's just talk about that for a second. So I want to understand the timeline of this and correct me if I'm wrong. Did you retain Dr. Michael Bowden to conduct the autopsy here? Dr. Michael Bowden to witness the autopsy. The autopsy was performed by the city pathologist. I, as a family member, have the right to have my own pathologist be there, and to condemn autopsy once the body is claimed if we deemed it was necessary. And the reason I ask you that is because you just said a second ago you thought that your brother's death was a suicide. You were mourning his loss. There seemed to be something to indicate to you. I want a second opinion to someone to observe thee, and if Oprah's reported connection to Epstein wasn't controversial enough, people have also pointed out that she had a very public relationship with another highly debated figure, Diddy. Critics online often bring up these associations and question the circles she moved in. Some commentators have even raised concerns about Diddy's past controversies involving younger people. During one discussion, you mentioned earlier that you made a comment, right? Saying that you knew someone that went through Jimmy Man profit agreement for kids, and the profit agreement revealed that Jimmy Hishman, he could have walked away if he would have given up. Did he? What she mean by that? Well, what happened was that they had 9 different sessions with Jimmy Henchman regarding his proffer agreement. So that mean the feds went in there 9 different times to talk to him. And in those sessions they asked him, what do you know about Sean Puffy Combs or Sean Diddy Combs? I don't think it was Puffy at that time. It wasn't Diddy at the time, but what do you know about Sean John Puffy Comb, underage boy? And you got to realize, and people never think about this, that Jimmy and his brother, I think they had the same choice, but his brother walked away from that. And Jimmy gets life without the possibility of parole, I think, which is crazy for any drug charge. Nobody should spend their life in jail for charges and just charge. But I think they tried to tie him to some murders or something like that. Back in May, right in the middle of the Diddy controversy, a source reportedly sent Page 6 a shocking old Vitis tape that was said to be an invitation to Diddy's 29th birthday party in 1998. The footage allegedly featured a long list of famous faces, including Oprah, Donald Trump, and several other celebrities. Around the same time, critics also revived old accusations claiming Oprah built her empire while damaging others' careers, with some pointing to claims that she used the tragedy surrounding Breonna Taylor to generate publicity for her magazine. And a way to get back into good graces with black people. She has decided to put Breonna Taylor on the cover of Old magazine. And I just want to say, that's cool and all. On the surface, please arrest the officers that killed her unjustly. But putting all that aside, you don't give a damn about no Breonna Taylor. You don't give a damn about none of this. You don't give a damn about black folks in general. You didn't give a damn about Monique. And when she begged you not to bring her family onto the show, when her family let her brother screw her and you knew that was hard. You should know how hard that was when your whatever it was in your family that was screwing you too. And then your family had you cooking dinner and breakfast and eggs and grits and greens for the same one that was screwing you the night before, and made you feel bad when you got pregnant at the age of 13 all because you was gay. Just a messed up mindset. You should definitely understand. You are the one that said, it feels good. You said that you are the one that got on these pictures with Epstein, and you quiet about but you lied about everybody else. You are the one that sent Gil around there to interview R. Kelly and look at him like he's in the wrong way. Y'all participate in the same activities. And yes, that includes Naomi Cable too. And then there's the situation involving Taraji P. Henson. In December, she told The Hollywood Reporter that she was feeling worn down by the industry. She spoke openly about being underpaid and explained how she constantly had to fight just to receive fair compensation, saying she was tired of battling for the same limited offers again and again. I can't fight for them coming up behind me, then what am I doing? I'm sorry. Yeah, I know. Don't apologize. Snorts, don't apologize. I think it's an important message for people to hear because we see the lights, camera, actions. I'm just supposed to smile and grin and bear it and just keep like enough is enough. That's why I have other things. I have my TPH brand. I have my mental wellness. I have other things because this industry, if you let it, gasps, it'll steal your soul. But I refuse to let that happen. Yes. After her comments started trending online, Henson later sat down for an extended interview with the New York Times. During that conversation, she discussed issues she believes still exist in Hollywood, including pay gaps, racial bias, and the challenges she experienced while working on Empire and The Color Purple. The discussion sparked a lot of debate online, with some people questioning how much influence major studios and corporate backers have over media voices. What do you think about the situation? Share your thoughts in the comments.